Welcome to the final panel of the 2017 Fall Residency of the International Writing Program, our 50th anniversary year. You'll notice that there's nobody sitting at the table because this is the panel called Images of America, in which we invite the writers to come up and speak off the cuff about some enduring image they will return to their homelands with of their experience here in Iowa City or in other parts of the country. The process is very simple. We just invite the writers to come up in their own order, and we ask you to state your name and what country you come from, and then launch into your story. So, and this is that moment where I wonder who's going to be first. And I stand and have to improvise while I wait for that first bold volunteer. Santiago.
So, I say that there's not even one vein of poet in me. I'm a total narrative mind. So, sorry, I'm Santiago Giralt from Argentina. So, I've been writing a handwritten diary of Iowa since I jumped on the plane. So I decided to do an exquisite corpse with just opening pages of the diary and kind of like putting my finger on a sentence, and through that method, I kind of put together what would be kind of like a poem. It's not long, so I will be pretty expeditive. Immigrant officer, J1. Oh, I don't have to ask you how you are going to pay for your trip. Cedar Rapids, Iowa, cornfields, university life. Fall residence or end of summer residence? Black and yellow, yellow and black, everywhere, all the time. Changing skies, wayward clouds, pink and sunbird sunsets, planes drawing in the light blue, drawings fading in the deep blue. Machinery, the hum of electricity. Hum, hum. Am I in a David Lynch movie? 4 sleepless nights. 1, 2, 3, 4 nights. No dreams. Zombie days. Will I ever sleep again? I thought David Lynch was a surrealist. Now, I think differently. He's a hyper-realist. A painter of America as it is, light and dark, side by side. Traveling, disemboweled airport ceiling, haunted hotel, Faulkner Williams, Welty, William Tennessee, Eudora, ghosts, alligators that eat marshmallows in the swamp, music every hour, all the night, all day long, noisy pipes. Hopper diners, Hopper loneliness, Hopper hop, I hop eggs, streetcar unnamed, desire named, deep America. Friends, long talks, books, 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 more books, heavy books, more friends, warm talks, warming friends, weather getting colder, souls getting warmer, human warmth. Guns and food in Walmart, writers, poets, playwrights, translators, swarms of them, swarms of us. Red, brown, deep yellow leaves, leaves on the wind, leaves on the floor, leaves I live in 2 days. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Yuri Srebryansky from Kazakhstan. I have a short poem, and I should be very quick reading it at this moment. And I will read it first in Russian and then in English, and I would like to thank John Water for the translation. One moment. Наверное, город становится по-настоящему близким, становится твоим, когда перестаешь замечать разрывающий тишину гудок поезда, которого ты ни разу не видел, но который отмеряет время весь первый месяц. Мост над железной дорогой — единственное место, куда ты не решаешься пойти. И еще иногда представляешь себе, каким здесь может быть первый снег. Он вдруг начинает сыпать, как из новогодней хлопушки, или ветер швыряет его в лицо, закрытое капюшоном, или снежинки начинают падать одна за другой, вежливо выждав паузу, чтобы ты приготовился. Или утром поле напротив окна будет белым. Узнать это невозможно. Да и что-то должно оставаться тайной, потому что этот город тоже еще не все о тебе знает. Probably the city comes closer, becomes yours, when you no longer notice tearing through the silence the horn of a train, which you never seen. Through it measured your entire first month. The old bridge over the railway is the only place you dare not go. And sometimes you imagine how it must be here, the first snow suddenly dropping, as if from a New Year cracker buffering your face hood closed, snowflakes falling one by one, the pause before a classical concert. Or if in the morning in the window the field will be white. You will not know, but some things should be kept secret, for this city still does not know everything about you. Thank you. But I saw a few cornflakes this morning.
I'm Julianne Van Loon from Melbourne in Australia. I had the experience of living outside the hotel while I was in Iowa City here. I was put up in a little writer studio in a backyard in Lexington Avenue. And it's a very, very beautiful street, very beautifully manicured gardens and some gorgeous architecture. And it was a real experience of cultural immersion for me. And one of the images I will go home with is an incident that happened the other day. The neighbours have been very, very nice to me, and I've been into many of their houses and we've shared meals and so on, and they're very good people. I was walking to go to an event the other day, and I stopped to talk to Matt, who lives next door. We were just having a bit of a chat. And at the same time, the neighbour down the road from him pulled out of her driveway in her very expensive late model European convertible, and she called out to him, to Matt, she called out, "Matt, your wife is amazing." And he and I sort of looked at each other and laughed, and he said, "You're amazing too," and waved at her. And anyway, this has stuck with me, this interaction, and at the same time I've been reading this book, which I've dipped into in and out over the last year or two, and it's by a woman called Lauren Barrant, and it's called Cruel Optimism. And I wanted to just read a little section from that. She talks about the cruel optimism that has prevailed since the 1980s in the US and Europe, and she talks about it as, she says, people have remained attached to unachievable fantasies of the good life, with its promises of upward mobility, job security, political and social equality, and durable intimacy. despite evidence that liberal capitalist societies can no longer be counted on to provide opportunities for individuals to make their lives add up to something. And so I'm thinking about this work by Baran, and I'm thinking about this altercation in the street, but I'm also relating it back to what would happen where I grew up in country New South Wales in Australia, with two neighbours passing one another like that on a kind of a weekday afternoon. And I'm very conscious that in that circumstances, probably what they'd say to each other is just, yeah, how you going? You know, the pronunciation is not even hard. You know, it's hardly even there, and there's this kind of despairing nihilism that can kind of grow in my own culture at home in these kind of circumstances. So I just sit those three sort of observations alongside one another, I guess, and leave you with them as something to think about, as I will be thinking about them as I travel home. Cheers.
Hey all, this is my favorite part, to tell my name and my country I'm coming from. You might all know that. So I'm Kinga Tóth and I'm from Hungary, but actually I'm from the suitcase. I like being on the road. And we had yesterday a talk with Chris on the podcast, and I already told him that I got addicted to the corns here. And when I arrived in Iowa, I just looked around and I said, oh my gosh, it's like my village. I mean, it has advantages, and of course it has some disadvantages. It's not a big miracle why I left my village, but it was very interesting to face it again, the never-ending cornfields, the huge tractors, the machines, and yeah, the ongoing fields, which are sometimes quite horrifying for me. I know this silence too well. So I thought about us like being the corns itself and being in this lighthouse, in this hotel, and what kind of social experiment is happening with us. And I began to write these corn songs, and I just want to share you one poem. Üvegházban puhulunk, beengedjük a felerősített fény és vitaminadagot. Bemutatjuk növekedési mutatóinkat. Belül jobban terjedünk, de mind kivágyunk a külső vizekbe, ahol pelikánccsordák halásznak. Lesz egy hosszú perc, amikor érvénytelen az óra átállítás. Egy fehér karika mutató nélkül a nap. Elfogy a fal köztünk és a pelikánok között. Elér a víz. Végre megállhatunk. We are softening in greenhouses. We let in the amplified light and present vitamin doses to our increase indicators. Inside, we multiply better what we all yearn for in the exterior waters where pelican herds fish. There will be a long minute when the time change will be invalid. Without a round, white hand, the sun runs out the wall between us and the pelicans. The water reaches. Finally, we can stop. Thank you. Köszönöm.
Hello, I'm Antoinette Tijani Alou from Niger and Jamaica. I first thought that I wouldn't have anything to say because I'm just still mulling things over, and I like to talk when things have settled down. But this morning, just before coming here, I scribbled something that I will share with you. What did you see of America? I was asked. There were many things about me which the questioner ignored. Maybe. I am frightfully nearsighted. I do not possess the eagle's optical span. I peer curiously at small things and feed my tiny talons like the squirrel that scurries by my feet, curious and only half afraid or less. I met a girl from Iowa. She squatted on the floor at my feet at La Jam's Institute, a spa and school. She had not been raised on God, to my surprise, and believed in nothing. She handled my feet as if they might splinter in her hands. Another girl, another day, older, Iowan too, told me of her missionary background and polished my nails blood red and bold in her image. Many things already lost, visions, insights, large things. But one thing I will carry home. I plucked it on a hayride on a farm to kill a man from Taiwan, but took only one of his 9 lives. I met many people, cooked in a Protestant kitchen, my Catholic food, beside many world flavors, and learned that I shared chicken feet cuisine with Mexico and Thailand. I traded in the word universal definitively for humanity and learned to my surprise that 100-year eggs are not a Chinese delicacy. In democratic Iowa House, they are a treat that all may eat. In the middle of nowhere, the world came to my door in baskets of mixed blessings, not only apples and hayrides and all. I have sorted and will use the rotten fruit for compost. I'm a gardener after all, and savor the plump, blushing Honeycrisps. I breathe in, out, cleansing my lungs of Seattle, which stinks of herb more than Kingston could ever dream of. And I ascend to the Space Needle to mull things over, to retrieve. Thank you.
Kia ora, everybody. I'm Anne Kennedy from Aotearoa, New Zealand. This is a thank you poem. I particularly want to thank everybody in the program, all the people who've organised everything and looked after us so well. And it's been such a privilege to be here. I want to mention the drivers who ferried us around, all around Iowa, just lovely people, and we're so privileged just to be zipping along these streets, going to all these different events and things. So thank you, everybody. So here's a poem I wrote this morning. It's a draft, it's a bit rough, but I wanted to somehow capture the spirit of... I had a lot of conversations with people at the beginning that, have we sort of died and gone to heaven? Because we were coming for not just 1 week or 2 weeks and then you just go home, there was a sense we were almost living here, but it isn't actually our reality. We're going to go home. So there was this strange collision of realities, which I think is really conducive to creative writing, or I found it so. And I especially snuck in the squirrels for Natasha. Suddenly a place appears. This place has appeared overnight, as if you lost consciousness and swam back through your mind, and everything that was not this place has become this place. You call it Iowa. We will call it Iowa. Oh, Iowa, how blue you are. You are a blue dot. In Iowa, there are people you have never met before, and you think maybe you died and this is heaven, peopled with all the people you are destined to spend eternity with. Oh, Iowa, the milling crowd. At first, Iowa shimmers in the streets are from the old, grainy American films you saw before you crossed over, and you wonder briefly if you were in the movies or in a movie, but you are not. You're in Iowa. Oh, Iowa, how speckled you are. Oh, Iowa, you breakfast room. Oh, oh, Iowa, in Iowa, Mary of Nazareth is kind and gives you a simple set of plates and cutlery, and these are your plates and cutlery for eternity and all you need. In Iowa, the leaves come down to greet you like a hologram. Oh, Iowa, the elevator. You realize you have come here to make things up, and maybe you have already made something up, and it is Iowa. Oh, Iowa, the white sheets. And the people you have met in Iowa seem like the people you always knew, and perhaps you did know them before, but you were asleep. Oh, Iowa, you supermarket. And in Iowa, you have conversations about food and drink, and you laugh and tip your head. In Iowa, you walk about the streets, and they are peaceful because you want peace, and this is Iowa. Sometimes you walk as in a walking bus, and sometimes you walk alone as in a dream, and this is Iowa. Oh, Iowa, you traffic lights. In Iowa, you sit as if in a movie and listen to the stories people tell that you thought might be there, and they are there. Oh, Iowa, you car ride. And one day in Iowa, squirrels appear like creatures in a cartoon. Their fluffy tails wag and they chase each other and you laugh, and this is Iowa. Oh, Iowa, you comedy. In Iowa, the leaves change to yellow and red and the wind picks up. There are rushes of excitement in your breath. In Iowa, you wonder if a reverse tornado might take you back to wherever you came from before Iowa. Oh, Iowa, you dance floor. In Iowa, the hoot of a distant train. The moment you realize Iowa is real is the moment you must go home. Oh, Iowa. Thank you, Iowa.
Hi, my name is Subrat Singh, and I'm from Guyana. There have been several instances throughout the residency where I'd be with a group of writers, and somebody would say something like, you know, I think it's late, let's go home. Or somebody else would say, oh, I'm tired, I just want to go home. And in all of these instances, they're really referring to the Iowa House Hotel, not where they came from. And of course, that's because we've been here for, you know, so many weeks. We've sort of come to recognize the hotel as home, as where we belong in this space. There was no choice. But even so, if the Iowa House Hotel is home, then everybody who lives there is kind of like family. So there were times when I'd walk along the hallway, and from each room, my family members would be cooking something in their little microwave. So I'd pass and I'd get a whiff of curry, and then I'd pass and get a whiff of hummus or bread or something. And every day at lunchtime, when you walk down the hall, you get all of these smells. And they just sort of wrap you up and take you to all of these different places that are represented. Music is the same thing, and it's one of the things that really brought us together really quickly. Vladimir and Mong and Gada and Tilotama, when they got together and they played, it was amazing. And we danced. I'm a terrible dancer, but I tried. And I think more than anything, I think the little moments are what I'm going to remember. I'm going to remember Audrey trying to make me Caribbean food that I was missing, and she did a really good job. You know, I'm going to remember the long conversations and all the fantastic bars you guys have here. Foxhead is my personal favorite. And you know, I think I'm really going to remember the people I met in Iowa. Often when we talk about the IWP, we talk about all of these cultures that come together, and we think about the whole world. And sometimes we forget to include America. We think about the residents in the program and the countries they come from, and how, you know, their different cultures. But it's the American culture that sort of binds us and brings us all together. And America is very much a part of the narrative of that sort of great cultural pepper pot mix-up that we have with the IWP. So I just want to say thank you for having me, and it was really a pleasure being here these past few weeks. Thank you so much.
Yes, Happy and I, you go first, yeah, so as I said, one of the things I learned to do in Iowa is to write kind of rhyming things or syllables that have meter. So these are just some of the things I've been writing like every few days or so, from beginning to end. So looking down, through the window, corn rows combed into regiments, a prairie settled, landing. And this is what I thought of all of us when we just arrived. We're here, pickpockets of pain, rag pickers of stories, rag pickers of words, stalkers of story, beware. And then there was a quiet morning, and I was looking at my window screen, and I realized another wordsmith dreamt here by the screen, time marked with a huss of dragonflies. Then we went to Chicago, and Stuart said to me, "Why are all these people in the street?" And I realized this is free enterprise, take or leave it. Hot coffee in the lobby, cold turkey in the wind. And then Kinga organized an event for peace, 100,000 poets, donuts catching cold, poets shivering for peace, and me, hungry for home. Because, to be honest, I love Iowa, but I like the food in Singapore better. Then Las Vegas shooting, 300 million guns, one man shooting, bullets kill. What do we know? And next, homecoming week, more black, gold on white, one skinned, knees wounded, stars blood-spangled, singing that song. And I love ginkgo. I have a romantic idea of ginkgo. They are very expensive to buy in Singapore. This is what I found out. Fallen by the path, flushed face, hung over, precious ginkgo, puke on frosted grass. And then one night, we went to Hua Ling Engel's house, and while waiting for Natasha to come out, I saw fox or deer or something going through this garden in Suburban. And so it was firefox, flaming stag, ghost light leaping, husband, wife, love sick in the rain deep night. And that's them. And now finally, blowing leaves, midnight drafts, dawn tumbled sheets like us, Indian summers leave. Now, the question, did I fall in love here? Not in so many words, unless you count the taps my keyboard caressed.
Hello, I'm gonna do a very similar thing that Santiago, because 2 or 3 days ago, by the way, Javier, Mexican playwright, of course. Snow asked me, yes, this is a person, what are you gonna say in this panel? What's your images of America? And I replied in a very dreamy-like way. I just put words one next to the other, trying to make sense of this experience. And then I thought that's what was what I should read, that answer that came honestly and not trying to impress anyone. So I just translated it because it came in Spanish first. And it says, the streets, Clinton Street, Iowa Avenue, E. Washington Street, being late, the parks, Hickory Park, Raptor Center, effigy mounds, movies at Cinematheque, Mexican parties, galas, reading at Prairie Lights, street lights, reading at Chamba, the river, the river, the river, artificial lake, flowing and ongoing conversations with 35 writers. Writers living before time, missing them before time, hotel room, loving it, hating it more. The best, the window that leads to a construction site all day, running from the noise into the art building to work. Work? I mean play. Writing plays and poems, daring to write poems because my colleagues said I could, maybe. Waking at 8 a.m. to write waking at 8 a.m. to write a poem I dreamt. The halls of dreams and the halls of the Iowa house. Not a hotel, but a house, and sometimes a hotel. The unplanned encounters here and there, the meetings, the panels, and more readings, and more receptions, and some receptions, and challenging all of my performed conceptions, and the books I read, and the ones I carried everywhere without opening a single page, and eating and not eating and starving, and $30 a day, really? Starving, dumplings and takanami, pancheros on the first night, yuck. Terrible Mexican food. You should try this other Mexican restaurant. No, it's terrible. A microwave to save me, and a small fridge with frozen food that I bought in the Asian store. The river, the river, the river, the river itself, the riven time, the riven place that I tried to wrote, and the poems and the novels of my colleagues, and the landscapes, and red leaves, and trees that slowly change, and sidewalks, yellow and green and mellow and gray, and the bars, yes, the bars, George's and Foxhead again, and Foxhead, and yes, did I say Foxhead? And the trips, and feeling Mexican in Chicago, while a tremendous earthquake broke my people that stood up and said, we are indestructible, and not being able to do a thing, and feeling, why am I here? The only day I thought, why am I here and not there? And not sleeping enough, and worrying about my people, and feeling proud about my people in Iowa, and worrying about upcoming presentations and translations, and especially worried about having ears clogged and running nose because of autumn allergies, and hating the allergies, and downtown, and loving bread garden and stolen time, and pianos in the middle of nowhere. Wow, pianos in the street, really? Pianos in the street, and no one steals them, and no one steals the keys. Wow. And well, yeah, in Mexico they would steal the keys and scratch the pianos and mark someone was here and there. But the pianos here, they're like, and people playing the pianos in the street, I mean, wow. And corn, but less corn than I thought there would be. And as everyone says, there's lots of corn. I just saw corn like 3 or 4 times. And the Java House as enable to sing and sit and work. Work, I meant play, to write poems and plays, the book festival, the river and the pool, oh, the jacuzzi, the sauna and the spa, thank you for that. The river, the friendships created, multicultural, and then not just one culture, one world, one time. 3 months that have gone by. Oh, wow, it's almost done now. And the question by the staff and by the colleagues, how's the writing? I still don't know how to answer that question. How is it really? Is it sick? Is it broken? Is it nice? Is it powerful? Is it creative? And not knowing who came here with my name and who is living without one. Understanding what it means to be and not to be in Elsinore Castle where something's rotten, but decayed quintessential positivism never felt better. The world is but a nutshell of infinite space and the shadow of a dream in Iowa City.
Hello, I'm Enza Garcia Arriaza from from Venezuela, and I'm going to read just this. Since I arrived in Iowa, I have wanted to see a raccoon, and so far I have seen only one, dead on the road. But at the same time, I discovered the spectacular happiness of walking around without the feeling that someone can kill you. I also met the discreet but sincere face of solidarity. People say that Iowa is boring, but to me it seems like a place where everything is possible, from writing poetry to losing yourself. There is a lot of corn, although I'm afraid I did not eat enough corn. Because I'm like that, I tend to be distracted. I hated New Orleans. I don't want to talk anymore about that, but I'm always talking about that. Chicago gave me back my friend who escaped from our country. In Chicago, I look up to remember that I must be awake more often because the sky is a haunted place and you have to decide if you are an enchanter or a target. I cried with Hayar and Uba. Kaori was my favorite ghost. I dreamed a lot about Vladimir playing a vampire song. I smoked at 2 in the morning with Jan. I trust some things to Santiago. Tilotama made me brave, and Gada offered me her heart. I read Brodsky with me, and I also read Brodsky with Yuri. Charlene sent me all the foxes she found. I said goodbye to Yara. Fatena did not let me sleep, but it was fine because she made me laugh as well. Mary and Peter took me to the doctor, and from the back seat of the car, I remember that once I was 7 years old. Thank you. No. Thank you to Mary and Peter. Oh, and I found Jade with an Irish accent and hair in his nose. I made 2 or 3 mistakes while I was looking at the new colors in my window. I met people who want to do the right things against the current times. Oh, stupid. America was already great. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Vipasi Thong from Thailand. I'm going to read some fragments from my diary that I kept the whole month on this. Okay. Tuesday, August. I'm exhausted from jet lag and have been thrown into the unknown. Strange weather, place, language, even time. I'm lost and delirious. Well, in the dark, you must stand on your own 2 feet. And it is my words and writing that I grab onto. Saturday, August. There is the menacing sound of an alarm. Out in the corridor, faces appear from opening doors. We walk down the emergency stairs, calm but excited, and stand together in front of the building. Now we know who lives here. We turn to look up at the solemn red brick building and compare its vastness to the number of people that are loosely gathered. We look at the windows. At this time and place, we feel that it's better to be outside. It's like looking at ourselves from far away, and we feel relaxed and a sense of comradeship. It's cold, and there is a clear sky. I turn to Yvonne. I hope it wasn't not because of my cooking. She laughed. A while later, we head back up. It was a false alarm. Nothing has happened. Wednesday, September. The whistle from the factory blows white steam into the sky. Some find it monotonous and threatening, but to me it sounds like an animal experiencing extreme pain. It reaches its climax, and then the pain subsides to become bearable and calm and make a truth with its own being. It is sound full of emotion, like a short tragedy with a narrative from start to end. Friday, September. Running deep in the suburbs, I see a dead squirrel on the grass. The grass reflects the afternoon sun, and the Iowa River glitters as it's meandering along. Everything is peaceful. Each house sits on a large grassy property. There are no fences or security guards. I hardly see anyone, only the S-shaped coil of the puffy tail on the concrete in front of the house. I run along the footpath in the abandoned place, peering at everything. Each house is spacious and inviting, but I don't see anyone. I imagine myself dripping further and further to the end, like a video game when you hit the boundary pixels and can't get through. I walk back, sit by the river. A blind man walks past. I'm afraid of him, afraid that he will take me into his dark world. He laughs as though he can read my thoughts. Monday, October. I see a homeless person under the bridge. They always look interesting, exposing their privacy and belongings to the world. Most interesting is that while we look at them, acting indifferent to our eyes, we are conscious of ourselves pretending not to look. Voyeurism is so human. Thursday, October. How will you look back on this next year, said I. How about in 5 years, said she. How about in 10 years, said I. Full of themselves, she called Americans weak-minded. What seemed to be the problem, said I. You love it here, do you? You love to hate it. They are all materialistic, said she. Why care? We are here. Now we are in America. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Fatina Al-Ghurra, Palestinian/Belgian. Well, in the beginning, when I came here to Iowa, the first week, we were presenting ourselves and saying about what is the ambitions that we have it in our mind to accomplish here while we are here. Eventually, speaking of myself, nothing. But nothing when it comes to writing, but a lot when it comes to people. I think when I was here in this city, I became a new person in so many ways. I became to understand a lot of things about myself and about other people, and to solve the conflict that it was already inside me, a lot of conflicts, even my own conflict as a Palestinian. I could solve that here in Iowa, and I think I wouldn't have this chance to solve it any other way, because being here for this long time, having this experience with all these people, lovely people that I will never forget. I came without friends. I came here completely stranger, but I'm living here with family, will be still in my heart, with friends that I will keep remain and I will keep remember. Family started from Mary, that in the beginning we were nagging, why she's looking at us like this and concerned and asking us to do that. And I think in a way we lost the feeling of the mother caring, you know, and Mary, she was giving that to us, and day by day we were missing her when she's absent. Like when she's there in the hotel or in our home, it was like she gave us the feeling that we are safe. We can count on her in a way. So this is something that I will never forget. I will never forget this lovely person here. Like I will never forget Ramsha, my best and close friend, who I feel like I always ask myself this question, how I can say goodbye to her. And I told her, I don't want to say goodbye. After returning back, I think I will carry a lot of love and a lot of beautiful memories and a lot of sadness also, because in a certain moment you have to say goodbye to a lot of things and a lot of people that you were hanged with and communicated with, all this beautiful Santiago. I love Santiago. He's the bright side of Iowa. I think he was like, whenever he enter place, he just enter joy with him. And this is, for me, it was like only seeing him, even if I am depressed, and he just could take me out from my depression. Tilo and her loving arms, and when she hugs me and we cry together, we shared a lot of things. Ghada, my best friend, Arabic friend, who were sharing also, and give me all the joy in the world when I used to listen to her songs. And Lava, our little sister and sometimes daughter, who used to take care of her. I will carry a lot of things, but not to mention that I will carry that chipmunk that makes me all the time jumping like this. And my friends, they told me, you know, if somebody saw you, they will definitely say that you are crazy because you are jumping. This was my first time to see it in front of me, and I was like looking like this, you know, all the time. Finally, I want to say that I think this is the best timing, and I said it yesterday to Mary and Hugh, this is the best timing to make this residency in fall, because actually it seems like all of us here like flowers or trees, and this fall we have to retain back, like the flowers and the trees, they lose their leaves, but they were retained back with new people, as the trees were retained back with the new beautiful leaves. Thank you for having us today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gemba Kakanda from Nigeria. I am going to start with a short remark and then a poem I write in New Orleans. So, like when I got an invitation to come to the United States, I wasn't immediately dazzled by the idea of coming to explore America, because to me, America is the most scrutinized idea and country in the world. So I didn't expect myself to come to the United States and see a new thing. The internet has shown me everything. The American idea, the American dream, the American values is the most marketed in the world, as done by Hollywood, done by Silicon Valley. I announced my coming to America by an American invention, which is Facebook, and then another of American invention is Twitter. So yeah, America is not a wonderland, it's not a strange land. So I am going to stick to my point. So I think the only culture shock I experienced since coming is the cold, because yeah. So yeah, I wrote a poem in which I say I am tropical and winter is coming. So like, and it never really made sense to me then until now, because I've watched Game of Thrones, how they kept on going on about winter and then also, you know, like I've always been in the temperate region. So like one thing about cold is it's not an idea. It's something that you really need to experience to know its intensity. And and yeah, and like this morning I wore a native clothes, and when I met Mary, she was kind of like telling me, you know, she was kind of like laughing, and then I was like, I had no idea why she, and then she said, okay, I should go in and then wear a cap and then something. So like I didn't kind of heed to the advice, so I just came out and then nobody needed to remind me to go back and change my, and wear something different. Another thing about the world is I live in a place, I live in the serenest part of Abuja, which is the capital of Nigeria, which is almost similar to Iowa. Summer in Iowa is almost similar to Abuja in a way, because one, I am an Indo person, and whenever I am actually Indo, I forget that I'm in a different country. I thought I'm in my room in Nigeria. So like the first 2 days in Iowa, I think when I woke up, I just stepped out as though I was going to the next room in my own house, because it never occurred to me that I was in a different country, and that was a cultural shock. But another realization now is I got to see the connection between food and homesickness. In the earliest days, I thought I was homesick, and it like I was telling my sister over the phone that wow, then she was laughing that I like whenever she was in the kitchen, I never really cared to see what she's even doing. At least I would have been useful to myself now by cooking also. But I think I have to thank Tilo. Tilo was the one that taught me how to cook. Other than yeah, because like when I kept eating like some strange food that I really don't know. It got to a point I said no. I think I need to I needed to start cooking, and then Tilo asked me to just come, and then so we sat down. So and then she started giving me instruction like what to do, how to go about it, and yeah, it's because like I was so disturbed by the idea of exploring. So I realized this, my own theory of homesickness and food when I went to Chicago. I visited an African restaurant, and then I ate all the food I was familiar with. And so yeah, and then suddenly I stopped being homesick, yeah, and then I fell at home in the United States again. But the good thing about my experience here, some of the images is the conversation I had with Oki in New Orleans, because we were coming back from the jazz club, and then she said like New Orleans is a dream, and she was saying that in a positive light. And to me it was, but even though we appreciated what it is, and we said that yeah, it is also not a dream we want to exist in, not a dream we want to be in, because one, Behind the dream is something a little disturbing, and which is what I realized eventually. I took a cab one morning. I went to a neighborhood called Holy Grove, and then it was kind of like heartbroken. So I realized that we are all similar in several ways. Similar in the sense that like the world is defined by class struggle, and that was what I discovered. Like classism in America, like it's the same with as it is everywhere, because New Orleans is a breeding ground of capitalism. Like everything has been commercialized, and even the tragedies, have been commercialized. And I kept kind of like telling people, because yeah, it was like somebody say, it was segregated. Yeah, initially I thought, okay, it was segregated, and I realized, no, this is really not about race, it is about class. And yeah, so it's good to see the other side of it, because like I've read a lot of things that New Orleans is segregated and then all that, but then it was really not based on race. I think it was based on class. Yeah, it's the economic situation. So yeah, let me just read the poem on and let it go. So I wrote this poem for Katrina in New Orleans. Katrina for New Orleans after the hurricane. So this is you. This carcass posing for cameras is you. You smell of a century my memory missed, when blood the size of your river flowed between Hiroshima and Pearl Harbor. You stole from this place a song it may never recollect, the sax of Bichette lulling you to see that Armstrong seeks a quiet to dream. Far away, I heard your story, Katrina, the illegal inferno on CNN, and I imagine the house of a rising sun, where your victims now congregate to forget. I see you, Katrina, in the memory of this river, when it dances back and forth, in the fire of Bourbon Street, warming pirates, in the sirens of Holy Grove, chasing starving ghosts, while Lil Wayne's rebirth blasts through you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and Niro Tambash. For those who are wondering how does it look like to speak Kurdish, my name is Lava Umar Derwish. I'm from Kurdistan, Iraq. I don't know, I still don't know. I've written something, it's more like a poem. It could not be a poem since we're living in different realities, but I'm gonna try anyways. My mind traveled here before, has been here before. It only took 26 hours for my body to get here, crossing borders, time zones to reach this reality. 35 different realities, each in a corner, including myself, and reached to the conclusion that writers were for real. Writers are actually human beings. For I haven't lived with a writer before. I have found my soul sisters and my mom that I call Annie. And we wrote poems during midnights over voice notes and danced like crazy and planned for the 100 years that are about to come. In this reality, I found myself and lost it, crashed it and built it again and again. Still loading, perhaps 24% or a half. Identity blurred like a person who lost the glasses. In 225, I found my country, then I've lost it. And now I'm fighting hard to find it again, with the tears that no one is supposed to see. And being bombarded with all the questions. Home, where is it? How is it? Do you miss it? Locked myself in the room, trembling to answer all the questions. How is home? What do you think about the crisis? How do you feel? It must be hard back home. And I've always wanted to answer, well, it's only a different reality that you are not aware of. I've wrote books in my mind, wrote poems for the next 100 years in my life. I've created a legacy that will be passed to my grandchildren. Oh, Iowa, our dreamy journey is about to end. The leaves are falling down, and I count the rest. And I'm not gonna miss you, because I have left pieces, and I will leave some more in your heart. Thank you.
I should be the last one. It seems that I overdone again, but how come the topic is image of American, but no one saw any image? So I'm very well prepared. I'm a good student. So steward no longer stand for study of art, but student, but also stupid one. So, okay, I'm going to show you some of my image in Iowa. If you ask which image give me the greater impact during the stages, go without saying that is the eclipse at August 21. You see, all of us gather just outside the Shumble House to observe it. And thank you for the arranger for the glasses, really. And then, because I have never seen the eclipse with my own eye, and it happens such a great time of our 50th anniversary, this coincidence makes the anniversary even more, it seems such a miracle. So I generate many different poems from the eclipse. For instance, Warling lays letter to Paul Engle grave. When I saw this one black stone, I immediately linked it up with the eclipse. The gravestone is just like the moon shadow. I wrote my first poem at Iowa. This is the last stanzas of my poems. I translated in this morning, so Natasha, forgive me my grammatical mistake. In this stanza, let me see, where is? In this stanza, the depiction is like when the shadow of the gravestone fades out, the coronae being filled up again, and as the shining marble desktop handed up in the Warling sitting room, and you can see this is the marble desktop in the Warling sitting room. On the marble desktop, there are many word browsers swimming towards the center. That is referred to the pioneer words of Paul and Warling. You can see the final lines refer to the work crafted on Paul Engle grave. And also, I want to show you, you see, I'm so well prepared. You see, link up with the interview of in Hong Kong Mingbao newspaper. It is published with the interview of Warling and as well as this poem. Oh. Okay, and then also the poem Mass on the Wall is also about Warling House, and also it is triggered by the eclipse. Since the color of the eclipse surely is black and white, just like the Chinese ink painting, the principle of the painting is don't focus on the ink contents, but the space setting. So the depiction of the wall is not focused on the mass, but the space between the wall. So in the, this is, so when it is in the morning, the space on the wall is the branch, and the mass becomes the fruit. And at noon, the space is the stormy sea, and the mass becomes the island. And at night, it becomes the universe, and the mass becomes the galaxy. So this is the life as a day metaphor. It's also always used in Emily Dickinson's poems. Yeah, okay. Also, thank you for Audrey for translating this poem for me and being read it yet for in the yesterday farewell party. Okay. Also, the eclipses make me recollect of an American film called Lady Hawk. Have you ever? I also written trilogies of the development. Part 1 is the day hawk and the light wolf, and the part 3 is the eclipses. And you can see it is the translation of the last part of the eclipse. What? Sorry for the grammatical mistake. Okay, and then also I finished 3 these kinds of trilogy in Iowa. The second one is inspired by the scene at the visits of the Poetry Foundation in Chicago. And thank you, Catherine, for arranging this, and Kelsey for the trip. When I saw the reflection of book and the reflection of tree overlapping on the glass wall, I think of the eclipse again. You know, eclipse is also happening because of the moon shadow overlapping on the sun image. The structure of this trilogy is used as part 1, the book reflection, part 2, the tree reflection, and the part 3 is the glass. It seems that the period, because the books are from the tree, you know, the paper is from the tree. So it seems that the previous life is talking to the next life, and this makes the final part, the glass, become the wheel of writing with no regret. Okay, and so, okay, beside, okay, yeah. The second, I'm so well prepared. And the second source of my impact in Iowa is the National History Museum. I wrote 3 poems about the stuff inside. The first one is Finally I Reached Dodo. Is because of the time I'm going to read about it. Finally, it is in the last panel discussion I mentioned about writing a query poems, right? After that, many friends came to me and encouraged me to finish it. Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Julia, for the email, and Audrey and Xavier for the encouragement. I finished this poem. And Audrey chased to ask, your dream is in the egg, then what is your dream? I have thought about it for a long time, and I get stuff because I don't know how to express it in the forms of poetry. So at last, I finished it brilliantly by making a wish just like the most well-known poet of the poems of Srima Hindi, which is the 1996 Nobel Prize winner. He has a poem called Digging. In the poem, he turns the pen into the spade, and he will use the pen to dig. And so I just turned the pen as a beak for me to poking through the eggshell on the pureness of the sky. I write for the solitude is real. The destination of the eggs is undecided. I like this ending very much. And so this is last. This is the window wheel in our orientation day. Mary just stated that the writer who got the window wheel without the muddy river will be productive. I love you so much, Mary. I just try my best to prove your theory is right so that you can make the excuse next year. I'm going to show you my, this notebook is open when I'm the first day in Iowa. I'm now, see, I've just filled it up with the 25 poems now. This is patina writing. Yeah, you know, this is 25. Okay. Wow, keeps going, yeah. And I fill up the whole notebook. This is new one originally when I get to. Okay. Okay, then the final one is that at the end of the trip, probably I will get 30 poems. The Robert Ho family, I have to got my sponsorship to appear in my slide. Foundation is now issuing an appropriate venue for me to hold a reading session in Hong Kong when I'm back. Besides these 30 poems, I surely will read some translated poems from my writer friends. Thank you. That's it, my show. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Oh, is there a poem, maybe? Yeah. My name is Esther Dischereit from Berlin. Stuart said he might have done overdoing. Maybe I'm underdoing. So I'm underdoing now. The last days I got a letter. The letter is saying, Esther, next Saturday is the first day of pheasant season. Sure, are you coming? I answered yes. The question I got yesterday was, what do you read? I didn't dare to say I do not read. In fact, I do read. There is something 2017, 2018, Iowa hunting, trapping, and migratory game bird regulations, WIODNR.gov. Okay. Who won many awards among the prestigious IWP Silver Bear, were translated into many languages, such as Iowa Hawkeyes, cornfields, soybeans, and also among the raccoons. We already heard about the raccoons and daily campus activities. Would you kindly remove your poem out of my soup? Thank you. Thank you so much. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. I shower later when I get home to my country. I might miss the mixed sex accommodation. No, is not enough, says Naomi Klein, 10 steps to resistance. And then I was afraid you might not be really familiar with this resistance. And I bought then finally a book, and it's a book written by Mark Bry, Antifa. And I found out the Antifa movement in Europe is older as yours, so I have a chance somehow to step on your side in the difficult times you're in. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all. A few seconds before approving my visa, my name is Ghada Al-Absi from Egypt. A few seconds before approving my visa, the handsome council employee in U.S. Embassy in Cairo smiled at me and said, "Do you know that you are going to the best writing university in the world?" "Yes, I know," I said. Nearly 6 months before this day, I read a book that had a great impact on me. It was just after finishing my third novel, Yelda Night. The name of the book is Nagasaki Bills. That was the name of the book, written by Paul Nagai, a Japanese radiologist and a professor in the medical school who was one of the victims and the witnesses of Nagasaki nuclear bombing, telling everything about his city, Orakami, before, during, and after the catastrophic explosion. Paul surprised me in a way that made me feel the whole disaster once again. Find details about the beauty of Orakami few hours before bombing. The Christian prayers, dressed in white, walking to the cathedral, Details about Paul himself as a Christian believing in Jesus after studying Pascal's theories. His bad medical condition as a leukemic patient because of the radiological experiments he was doing on himself years before the bombing. His wife Midori, who used to bear very hard times with him. Paul said he was never been able to buy her a new kimono. Midori, who used to carry him on her back to the medical school after his illness. All what was left from her after the bombing, just hot bones and her own rosary. He survived, and although about 90% of the students and professors in the medical school were killed, the remaining injured staff walked around Orakami to help the helpless injured people. He was courageous enough to say that Japan was wrong, and the catastrophe was above every single wish to win a war. It wasn't only about surrendering, it was about confession that they were wrong to their people. I wrote about the book and said, what would change if Horihoto, the marine scientist originally, never became an emperor and spent his time on Sagami Coast analyzing the marine creatures? Or if Hitler was accepted by Vienna Academy of Arts and never rejected because his paintings only contained small number of heads? During this time, while I was reading Nagasaki Bells, I lost my female fetus and went into miscarriage. It was the worst experience in my whole life, and I felt sad and sorry not only for my own daughter, but for every single innocent person dead without a reason, without causing any kind of harm ever. I was again full of wonder and anger about the political vision of the US, laughing ironically when I listened to American political declaration about the crazy president of North Korea. And that feeling was always there. It's just about ruling the world, the whole world, rather than saving it like Hollywood movies way. I have to confess, I knew only a little about the Americans themselves. Not more than watching the Olympic Games and the golden medals going to the incredibly amazing American sportives. The remarkable tennis players and, of course, scientists and writers winning Nobel Prize. I came to the US after a lot of security checks in the airports, feeling lost in Chicago airport. Oh my God, I'm so small here, and finally reached Iowa. Suddenly, I felt like home, a kind, small, quiet river. That respect to the writers here, the talented people, the serious, continuous efforts to achieve the goals of IWP as a UN of writers, United Nations of positive visions, thoughts, and feelings about humanity. That kind of humble, loving, caring, beautiful souls that I found here in Iowa, their looks, those were full of admiration to the sound of Arabic language. Those who told me, we don't know the meaning of what you are singing or reading, but we so much in tears. The connection that occurred from the very beginning during the residency in Iowa between me and many of the Americans here, wasn't the only miraculous thing. Another miracle happened to me here before coming to Iowa. Over the past months and after losing my daughter, I used to see in my dreams Midori, Paul's wife, holding my daughter in her hand, living together in a white house. I saw this house in one of the A1 avenues. It was exactly this house. I couldn't believe my eyes. I felt she is there watching me. Had that strong feeling that I'm gonna to see her. When I went to Seattle, and on the last hour before leaving to the airport, I sat next to the window in the hotel, saw a very small white duck swimming alone in the water. Without fear, I felt worried and helpless. How can I help this weak creature? I saw a shadow of a sarcastic smile on the duck's face, as if it is blaming me for having such limited imagination as a human. I was nearly able to see its webbed claws freezing but rowing persistently in the water. I felt this duck was the soul of my daughter, wanted to say, I'm safe here, relieved and away from the bad world. In a wonderful lecture about teaching writing to children and young people in the Shampoo House, the professor said, make a folder to keep your dead babies. She meant we shouldn't tear our incomplete writings and throw them in the trash. I told her my favorite writing game is to give life to my dead babies. I used to work on incomplete projects and small, but stopped ungrowing dreams. And in Iowa, I had the passion to begin more and more writing projects. I wrote a 5,000 words introduction to my new book, A Tale of Two Cities of Literature, Iowa and Baghdad, and nearly 3 chapters in my 4th novel, Kozica, which is named for the famous brewer Theodore Tiochari Kozica. And I wrote about 4,500 words article about my residency to the Egyptian newspaper Sot al-Ummah, which was published 2 weeks, maybe 1 month ago, because this is old. In addition to 4 short stories and an imaginary plan to my new 5th novel. I'd like to say I was never been to a writing university before, never taught by anyone how to write. I was touched by what Tobias Wolff said in the open interview that we were lucky to attend. Literature is imagining yourself in other people's lives, because it's delightful to know that we are on the right track without learning how to do it. But I can tell, I learned here in Iowa how to keep on, how to be persistent. That's because writers who want their literature to live longer should work all the time and persistently. Did I learn this because I was able for the first time to hike a mountain in my life? I wondered why was Saramago fond of hiking even after his medical condition became very bad. And now I know why he used to do that. The art of keeping on, the ability to overcome any kind of problem, showing up in your own way to fulfilling your dreams. Maybe it's also because I watched closely the drawbacks of Harvey and Irma hurricanes. I saw how the Americans have such ability to start all over again after any kind of losses or sufferings. I admired their strength and respected them helping each other truly. One of the most happy moments in my life when I received the translation of the subchapter, The Road, from my first novel, El Fishawi. And I am really grateful to Natasha and Claire for working on it. In this translation workshop, where Professor Rosanna Warren, the poet, the translator, attended with us, I learned a lot about the difficulties of translating Arabic language. Listen to the comments of the wonderful students. 2 days later, I was full of passion to translate the last chapter from my second novel, The Green Coupler, and was able to finish it. In Iowa, I was able to meet wonderful writers, poets, musicians, filmmakers, and actors. I really am lucky to know these people belonging to many cultures worldwide. Many of them have multiple nationalities with such amazing mixture of languages. By attending parties as a singer, I connected with professional musicians and composers who offered a cooperation in the future, the thing that I'm really proud of. I gained wonderful friends. I believe our friendship will last forever. IWP is a lifetime experience. I believe its memories will last forever. Thank you so much. Will you say something? No. I was looking at you. Hi, I am Tilottama Majumdar as a writer, but officially I am Tilottama Goswami. So if somebody wants to see me in the Facebook, so please search for Tilottama Goswami. I am in that name. Even Tilottama Majumdar in that name too. In my first thinking, I was about to analyze the whole experience I had here as a writer and as a foreigner too. But I am feeling so sad. I am feeling sad. So I thought, what's the point of analyzing all these things? Because all of us, from which country I am coming, oh, I didn't say that, I am coming from India. So there are, lots and lots of similarities between India and America, starting from politics to culture, there are, and even about natural beauty and disasters. So when I am feeling so sad, and I am feeling so much love about you, all of you in IWP, and especially Mary, so I see that love is something
that, it makes you refrain from criticizing or analyzing something. I could love you, that's the main thing, and you people are so wonderful to us, to me too. And when I went to Seattle, in 3 days, I started missing my home, and obviously that home is Iowa. I love this place really very much, and I will love to come back again. And only one question that is, moving in my mind, that is nothing, that is my experience as an Indian, that yes, Americans are so much welcoming. They have a big heart to welcome all the people from all over the world, and they allow them to stay over here. And we know people make country. So which people make the country? The people who are living in a soil since years, they have their roots on that soil, or the people who are coming here and just craving to have an American passport and, makes their income in dollars and send all the money to their countries. Are they also American? As an Indian, I can say you that 500 years back, India also have the same sort of big heart to welcome all the people from all over the world. And the result was India became a British colony for 300 years, and it was divided ultimately. So it's my question that yes, welcoming 34 writers from 33 countries for 3 months, for 6 months, even for 3 years, it's good. It's really good for the country. But is it always good to keep welcoming all the people from outside and allowing them to stay in a particular country, which is not at all their country, where they had no emotional attachment? I'm asking, it's not, I just want to observe the history, because my history taught me it's terrible. And in our last party, there was a big party in our ballroom hall, and me and Ramsha hugging each other, and one of our writer, yes, he was so surprised to see both of us hugging each other and said, look, one Indian and Pakistani is hugging each other. It's so terrible. It's terrible because we were in the same country. She is like my sister till now. So I'm sorry that I am becoming emotional. So I remember that when in Shambag House, I started my reading with 2 lines of Rabindranath Tagore. He is my favorite. So can I sing 2 lines again? The meaning is, this is like a way we go and we come, and we have some music when we on our walk, and those music are very close to heart. And now the time we are going away, and we don't know whom I should give the music. Maybe it will be scattered everywhere, and someday some poet will come and will pick up all those memories from the ground. আশা যাওয়ার পথের ধারে কেটেছে দিন গান গে মোর কেটেছে দিন যাবার বেলায় দেব কারে যাবার বেলায় দেব কারে কারে বুকের কাছে বাজলো যে বিন আসা যাওয়ার পথের ধারে সুরগুলি তার নানা ভাগে রেখে যাব পুষ্পরাগে মিড়গুলি তার মেঘের রেখায় স্বর্ণ লেখায় করব বিলীন যাবার বেলায় দেব কারে যাবার বেলায় দেব কারে বুকের কাছে বাজলো যে বিন আসা যাওয়ার পথের ধারে কিছু বাসে মিলন মালায় যুগল গলায় রইবে গাথা মিলন মালায় কিছু বাসে ভিজিয়ে দেবে দুই চাহনির চোখের পাতা ভিজিয়ে দেবে কিছু বা কোন চৈত্র মাসে বকুল ঢাকা বনের ঘাসে মনের কথার টুকরো আমার কুড়িয়ে পাবে কোন দাসীন যাবার বেলায়
I'm guessing that that's probably a good note to end on, unless Vladimir is going to talk. I'm so glad we budgeted only an hour for this.
Okay. I know that this is maybe the longest panel, and I will make it really short. First, I was thinking to make a slideshow of the pictures I've took here, but I realized that it will take me 3 months just to make the selections. And I will show those pictures to my friends back home. But what I would like to do right now is express my gratitude to all of you. Being here for me was a wonderful experience. It was also a very, very difficult period for me. I have lost 3 friends while I was here. They died in my country. But I've gained 100 and maybe more new friends, very close friends. I will always remember your smile, and I will always remember the sounds you produce. I'm oriented to the sounds. While I was writing in my room, I always knew who is smiling, who is walking around, who is talking, who is singing, and I will always. And I think that part of my writing while I was here, that you are already there. I have written less than 100, but more than 90 new poems while I was here. And many images from Iowa are there. I never mentioned the name Iowa in those poems, but Iowa is already there. And I hope that I will be able to send you those poems. They're written in Macedonian. And I'm also hoping to translate your works into my language. And of course, I'm hoping that our friendship will never die. Thank you.